Okay, hi potters. I'm going to show you today how to trim your bowl. You know your bowl is ready to be trimmed when it's leather hard. That means you can't bend the rim anymore, but it's all still moist. There's water in the clay. You don't want to have your rim be so dry that it's completely white. Again, you can't, you won't get fingerprints in it if you're just touching it. So the first thing you're going to do is flip your pot over and use these little guidelines on here to somewhat line up your pot. Then you're going to turn your wheel on and you're going to spin your wheel slowly. Of course, you don't want to spin it too fast because you don't want the pot to go flying off. You're going to take your finger, preferably a fingernail, at 6 o'clock, and up towards the top, you're going to slowly spin your wheel and hold your finger in one spot and see where the pot touches and doesn't touch. So it's probably hard to see, but it did not touch my fingernail right here. So I need to move it over just a hair and then try it again. Again, you don't want to push your finger into the pot with it. You just want to hold your fingernail at the same spot. Now it's not touching, so it's not touching from here to here. So again, I'm going to move it a little bit in that direction. And I'm going to keep doing this until my fingernail touches going all the way around. Again, you want to do it up here at the top where we're going to trim it, not down here at the bottom. So I'm going to check that one more time. And now this top appears to be centered. I'm going to take some clay and I'm going to break it up into 4 parts. And then you're just going to roll these around and kind of make clay finger type shapes. I'm just laying them on the side. Like so. And then you're going to work side to side. So don't do these two, do the ones that are across from each other. Lay the fingers right next to the pot, and then you're going to take your thumb and you're going to push down at the same time. I'm not pushing it into the pot, I'm just pushing it down. I'm going to turn my wheel, lay those right next to it, and do the same thing. By doing that at each side the same time, it doesn't move your pot. Okay? And then I just want to give it a little jiggle to make sure that it's nice and stable. At that point, you get your trimming tool. This is what your trimming tool looks like. You want to make sure that it's clean and that it's sharp. The first step is you're going to take your trimming tool the long way and just skim that top off, just in case you have any bumps on there. Mine looks pretty good. After you just skim the top off like so, I'm holding this tool really tight. You can see I've got white knuckles here. I'm going to go to the side and I'm going to trim the outside of the foot. Now, if you have a more functional bowl, you might choose to keep this foot a little bit wider. If you have a more decorative bowl, you might want to do it a little bit narrower. If your clay is the right consistency, the trimming should come off in like shoelaces. Sometimes this edge gets a little bit sharp, so I just kind of knock that off. So I'm going to go a little bit further here. A step that I missed at the very beginning is you need to, before you put your pot down, you need to assess what the inside looks like, where the thickness is, and how much clay you have to remove. Okay? So once I get that trimmed out, I'm going to go to the shoulder and trim and round out that shoulder. If you know your pot's a little bit thicker here, you can be a little bit more aggressive and take off more clay. We want to avoid having bottom heavy pots. Once you have your shoulder done, you're going to come up here and you're going to make the canal. I do this with the beak. We call this the beak of the tool. I'm stabilizing the tool with both hands, and I'm making the foot ring. I'm just going to make the canal I'm going to trim that down as deep as I think I can go. Once I have that canal done, now I can trim away this middle part. And again, this is all done with the beak. I like to say that I use the beak when I'm getting the bulk of the clay out. And then I use this flat part for smoothing. I know that the bottom of my pot is round, so I'm making sure that this is mimicking the roundness. You can see I switched it to the flat side to smooth it out. I have a little area here that I want to get rid of, so I'm going to position my tool a different way to kind of get into that corner and create a 90-degree angle. Now, as you're doing this, sometimes you'll trim away too much and you'll end up with a hole in the bottom of your pot. It's all part of the learning process. That's why you're keeping as many bowls as you can. Right now I'm just kind of cleaning up the sharp edges. Again, we don't ever want sharp edges. Going back over the outside of the foot, trying to take off a little bit more of this shoulder. It was a little bit thicker right there. If you get little lines in there, just make sure you clean your tool off. You can usually get rid of them. When you're holding your tool, you want to hold it similar to how you would shave, like shave your face or shave your legs, at an angle like this. You don't want to hold it flat and you don't want to hold it straight up and down. If you are applying pressure to your tool and nothing's coming off, you need to change the angle. So anytime your tool is touching your pot, you should have clay coming off. Now the general rule is to not trim off more than halfway down, okay? But sometimes you have to blend that line out. So I'm just kind of blending that line out right there. Cleaning my tool off. This is all done at full speed. So your wheel should be going fast enough that the trimmings just kind of fly off. Sometimes if they get stuck, we just blow on them like that. Okay? So this is what a foot ring looks like and a foot on a pot. I like to, and I highly recommend that you take a damp sponge. It's not wet, it's just damp. And before you take your pot off, just kind of smooth over it with your sponge, just to help with that craftsmanship. So once you're done, it should look like this. You gently take those off, pick up your pot, and then just kind of assess it. Is it bottom heavy? Do you need to put it back on and trim it some more? Does it feel good? At this point, if you're doing a chopstick bowl, you could lay your chopsticks across and take an X-Acto knife and cut. Or if you're doing a colander, you could put your holes in to make your colander. Don't forget to stamp and sign it. And as soon as it's ready, you can put it on the to-be bisque rack. Let me know if you have any questions in class, and have fun trimming.